4 words women say right before they play you, and exactly what to do. It is a common misperception that complex social dynamics, particularly in relationships, are initiated through overt actions like sudden silence, sending mixed signals, or creating noticeable distance. The subtle truth, however, is that these patterns often begin to take shape much earlier, long before any obvious behavioral shifts occur. The subtle groundwork is often laid with a few deceptively simple words, uttered with such an innocent tone that they rarely trigger any alarm or deeper questioning. This very unassuming nature is precisely what makes them so potent and effective as tools of influence. Almost every individual has encountered these specific phrases, yet very few truly grasp the profound implications and underlying intentions they reveal. If you have ever found yourself caught in a cycle of waiting anxiously, holding on to fragile hope, overthinking every interaction, or desperately seeking a clarity that perpetually eludes you, it is highly probable that these particular words were strategically employed, not merely to convey information, but to subtly sculpt and control your emotional landscape. This exposition aims to unveil these pivotal words that individuals often use right before they subtly draw you into a dynamic where they gain a distinct advantage and you inadvertently relinquish a degree of personal control. Once you fully comprehend the deeper significance and strategic function of these seemingly innocuous phrases, you will possess the awareness necessary to avoid falling into such a common relational trap again. Language, in its quiet power, can be one of the most effective tools for influencing social dynamics, often leaving no discernible trace of its strategic application. Many individuals tend to focus on overt actions or behavioral shifts, such as a sudden withdrawal, inconsistent messaging, or a noticeable cooling of affection, as indicators of a changing dynamic. However, a crucial insight often missed is that these external behaviors are rarely the initial point of influence. When someone aims to steer a dynamic in a particular direction without explicitly owning or taking responsibility for that intention, they frequently employ a single, carefully chosen word. This particular word is capable of shaping the entire emotional and interpretive framework within which you then operate. This phenomenon is extensively studied in psychology and termed framing, where a single linguistic choice can subtly alter your perception and interpretation of a situation without you even consciously noticing. The word might be delivered softly, casually, almost as if it holds no weight, yet embedded within that seemingly tiny syllable is the true, unspoken question. How much can I guide and direct your actions and emotional energy without ever having to exert overt pressure or explicit demands? Consider, for instance, a scenario where an individual frequently communicates that they are busy. The recipient of this message might naturally take it at face value, assuming the other person is genuinely overwhelmed with work, personal stress, or the general demands of life. What often goes unnoticed, however, is the subtle calibration process occurring beneath the surface. The person communicating their busyness isn't merely measuring their schedule, they are in effect measuring you. Every delayed response, every vague excuse for unavailability, every small withdrawal of their presence, these are all pieces of data being collected. They are observing the extent to which you will adjust your expectations, how persistently you will pursue them, and how readily your personal standards and boundaries might dissolve under the guise of demonstrating patience. It is important to understand that such testing is not inherently malicious. Rather, it often stems from an innate human inclination to identify individuals who demonstrate self-leadership, who possess a strong sense of self-anchoring, and who do not become emotionally adrift the moment the social current shifts. This is precisely why understanding the 4 words discussed here carries such significant weight. They are not random utterances, they function as precise tools, each serving to implicitly categorize your disposition. Do you operate with self-governance and internal direction? Are you prone to insecurity and seeking external validation? Are you easily swayed or guided? Or do you possess an unshakable inner resilience? Let's delve into these 4 specific words that can be used when someone is not explicitly choosing you, but subtly encouraging you to continue choosing them. Number 1, busy. When an individual conveys that they have been so busy lately, the immediate interpretation for many is a problem rooted in time management or an overloaded schedule. They might assume the person is struggling to juggle professional commitments, personal stresses, family obligations, and the general complexities of life. However, a critical distinction must be made. When genuine interest and desire are present, an individual typically does not become less available. Instead, they become remarkably resourceful. The essence of busy is not fundamentally about the allocation of time. It is profoundly about the hierarchy of priorities. The moment this word begins to surface with noticeable frequency, it is often not a revelation of a demanding workload, but rather an implicit disclosure of your current standing within their personal hierarchy of importance. Here's a subtle yet crucial aspect that often escapes notice. Busy can function as a powerful form of control, artfully wielded through the strategic deployment of inconsistency. The individual provides just enough intermittent contact or attention to sustain your hope and engagement, but never quite enough to offer genuine certainty or commitment. This very unpredictability triggers a potent psychological mechanism within the human brain known as intermittent reinforcement. This is the same powerful psychological principle that underlies the addictive nature of slot machines, and it can similarly keep individuals captivated by those who dispense attention in sporadic, unpredictable bursts. The individual employing this strategy might not be consciously thinking, "I will condition this person," but they are most certainly observing the precise outcomes when they delay or withhold the expected reward of their attention. Do you extend your waiting period? Do you intensify your efforts to connect? Do you subtly diminish your own needs and expectations to conform to their irregular rhythm? Consider this common scenario. An individual sends a good morning message only to receive no immediate response. They check their device at midday, still nothing. By evening, they rationalize the silence by concluding that the other person must simply be busy. The following day, a sudden warm reply arrives, perhaps adorned with an endearing emoji or even a brief voice note. The recipient's brain lights up with a surge of dopamine akin to winning a lottery. Yet they haven't. This sharp contrast between prolonged absence and a sudden burst of positive attention creates a powerful illusion of heightened value and desirability. The more energy and emotional investment the recipient extends, the seemingly busier the other person becomes. Conversely, the moment the recipient begins to pull back their energy and attention, the other person might mysteriously become more available again. From a pragmatic perspective, there's a straightforward truth. When someone genuinely desires your presence and connection, they do not become less accessible. They become remarkably inventive. They will find those fleeting 2 minutes. They will send a swift, concise message. They will make their effort and availability visibly apparent. Individuals who truly value and desire another's presence will actively create and fight for shared space, rather than relying on a litany of excuses. A significant error that is often made is believing that patience is inherently attractive, that waiting patiently demonstrates loyalty, maturity, or profound emotional strength. In the context of someone subtly testing boundaries, prolonged waiting is frequently interpreted as submission. It communicates that they can ration their presence, and you will consistently remain available. So, how does one effectively dismantle this illusion of busyness? The approach is not to confront, to demand clarity, or to compose lengthy emotionally charged explanations via text. The effective strategy is to simply and calmly reduce access. You match their distance, not with hostility or resentment, but with a detached, congruent presence. You remove the anticipated reward of your unwavering attention. When the individual realizes that their subtle withdrawals no longer trigger an intensified chase or emotional reaction from you, the entire manipulative framework begins to unravel. The emotional space they initially created to test your boundaries transforms into the very space they now fear losing, because a calm, centered indifference, is often the only language that effectively breaks the busy illusion. When you cease to cater to their deliberate delays, you simultaneously cease to be controlled by them. This marks the pivotal moment when the power dynamic undeniably shifts. You are no longer vying for their fragmented time. They are subtly compelled to vie for your consistent, valuable presence. Number 2, maybe. When an individual states, "Maybe I'll let you know," most interpret this as a promising possibility. What has actually been conveyed, however, is a state of suspension, a soft, subtle emotional cage designed to keep you continuously available without obligating them to any concrete commitment. Maybe is not an open doorway. It is a holding pattern. It ensures you remain emotionally circling, awaiting their decision on whether you are ultimately worth landing for, or if another, more appealing option has already secured their runway. Visualize this common scenario. You propose a specific plan, perhaps asking them out for Saturday. They respond with a casual smiling text, a simple maybe, and then effectively disappear from communication for a significant period, say 48 hours. Subsequently, you might see them post a social media story, laughing vivaciously in a car that clearly isn't yours. The natural inclination for many is to be polite, to suppress any sense of impatience, telling themselves not to exert pressure. They wait, operating under the assumption that their patience will eventually be recognized and rewarded. Yet, from the perspective of someone strategically deploying maybe, waiting is rarely perceived as respect. It is often interpreted as compliance and availability. Maybe serves a singular, crucial purpose. It maintains absolute control over the pacing and progression of the dynamic. It allows them the luxury of assessing their myriad options, their fluctuating moods, and their personal convenience, all while you remain emotionally parked, passively hoping that the cosmic coin flip lands in your favor. This inherent imbalance is precisely where they evaluate you. Not your physical appearance, not your financial standing, but the strength and clarity of your personal boundaries. Here is a challenging truth that many prefer not to acknowledge. When someone genuinely desires your company or connection, they do not deliberately gamble with the distinct possibility of losing you. Maybe typically only enters the equation when there is uncertainty, a lack of deep investment, or an unwillingness to definitively close off other potential avenues. This is often where individuals inadvertently trap themselves. They might send follow-up messages, soften their tone, or extend yet another friendly invitation. They strive to project an image of being easygoing, patient, and understanding. What they often fail to grasp is that every additional ounce of effort and every demonstration of prolonged waiting only serves to reinforce the other person's perceived control and power. The longer you wait, the less imperative they feel it is to make a definitive choice. Let's illustrate with a familiar scenario. An individual spends days, perhaps even longer, hanging on to a maybe. The other person never offers a specific date, a precise time, or a concrete plan. Yet, the recipient compulsively checks their phone, subtly interpreting silence as a form of nascent progress. Meanwhile, the person using maybe is keeping them on an emotional standby, merely as a contingency plan, just in case the individuals they are genuinely interested in or actively pursuing do not follow through. In this dynamic, you were never the primary priority. You were functioning as the insurance policy. So, how does one effectively break free from this soft, subtle cage of ambiguity? You treat maybe as a definitive closed door. This action is not executed with anger, hostility, or a confrontational attitude, but with calm, unshakable clarity. A simple, decisive shift in your approach. Let me know definitively when you are certain. And then you genuinely step back. You cease offering your valuable time to someone who has not earned it through clear commitment. You stop structuring your personal life and plans around their persistent uncertainty. You halt the process of continually proving your worth to someone who has not yet explicitly chosen or invested in you. Something profoundly impactful occurs when an individual resolutely stops waiting. The entire illusion of possibility dissipates. An individual cannot effectively keep you in emotional limbo if you steadfastly refuse to reside there. Suddenly, they are confronted with a clear imperative. They must either decide, commit, or face the genuine risk of losing access to you entirely. And for the very first time, they begin to feel the tangible cost and consequence of their own ambiguity. Someone cannot effectively cage a person who simply refuses to wait indefinitely. When you consistently treat your own time, energy, and commitment as inherently valuable, the other person is compelled to make a concrete decision about whether they genuinely desire a defined place within your life. Number 3, friend. There is a distinct moment many people vividly recall, the instance when someone looks at them with a gentle smile, perhaps a slight tilt of the head, and utters the words, "You're such a good friend." On the surface, this feels harmless, perhaps even genuinely flattering. However, embedded within that singular word lies one of the sharpest emotional downgrades an individual can deliver without ever sounding overtly cruel or unkind. Because when someone labels you as friend in a romantic context, they are not primarily seeking to deepen a bond. They are, in effect, categorizing you. Individuals often categorize others at a speed and with a precision that frequently goes unrecognized. Within moments, or certainly within initial interactions, they tend to place you into one of several distinct internal categories. The person for whom they feel genuine romantic attraction, the person they hold in high respect, perhaps professionally or socially, the person they perceive they can derive instrumental value from, or the person they can confide in and rely upon emotionally without ever having to contemplate a romantic commitment. The friend label, in this specific context, typically aligns with that last category. It signifies that you are perceived as safe, but not romantically desired. You are valued for your qualities, but not romantically chosen. You are present and available, but not emotionally or romantically claimed. And here is the unspoken, crucial translation. You provide me with significant emotional benefits, without ever requiring me to reciprocate with emotional or romantic commitment. Let me illustrate this dynamic. An individual consistently responds to late-night messages, actively listens to concerns about stress, personal drama, or heartbreak. They offer comfort, reassurance, and often thoughtful guidance. The person providing this support might genuinely believe that this deep level of closeness is progressively building toward greater intimacy. What they often fail to perceive is that the other person leaves those conversations feeling lighter and emotionally unburdened, then subsequently seeks out different individuals for feelings of excitement, passion, or romantic connection. The supportive individual essentially becomes their emotional outlet, their impromptu therapist, their comfort cushion, every role in fact except the one they actually desire. From a psychological perspective, this is a clear example of emotional labor, a valuable resource that individuals deeply appreciate, but also tellingly learn to take for granted when it appears to cost them absolutely nothing. When you generously give your attention, empathy, presence, and consistent availability without clearly defined boundaries, the other person often consumes it like ambient air, effortlessly, unconsciously, and seemingly without end. The fundamental error made is in believing that the more one gives, the more romantically desirable they inevitably become. However, genuine romantic attraction does not typically blossom from selfless service. It more often grows from a balanced dynamic that includes a healthy sense of distance, clear personal direction, and unwavering self-respect. The moment you position yourself as the immediate solution to all of someone's emotional discomforts, you inadvertently erase the crucial polarity that allows them to perceive you as a potential romantic partner rather than merely a convenient support system. So, how "I'll be ready soon" sound inherently optimistic, gentle, almost like a solid promise. However, soon is often the most sophisticated stalling tactic employed when someone wishes to maintain you within their orbit, keeping you consistently available without ever actually offering you a genuine, defined place within their active world. It represents a future that perpetually remains just out of reach because, in truth, it was never genuinely intended to arrive. Soon serves to pacify you. It cleverly keeps you emotionally invested and hopeful, while simultaneously allowing the other person to keep their options wide open. It permits them to preserve the illusion of potential interest without contributing anything concrete or tangible to the relationship. From a psychological standpoint, this mechanism is a form of temporal delay reinforcement. They subtly feed you just enough hope to encourage you to overlook the stark reality that their actions are consistently failing to align with their vague words. Let me paint a picture that many individuals have undoubtedly experienced. You inquire about their availability. They respond with a pleasant, smiling text suggesting, "Let's plan something soon." A week drifts by, then two. Suddenly, 21 days have passed, and the closest thing to a concrete plan remains that single, dusty, unfulfilled promise languishing in your message thread. Meanwhile, they are actively living their life, posting vibrant social media stories, engaging with various people, and exploring possibilities that simply do not include you. This often isn't because they harbor any animosity towards you. It's precisely because they harbor no genuine fear of losing you. And this particular insight is where many individuals struggle to gain clarity. Soon is the word uttered when they wish to keep the door slightly ajar, just enough for them to potentially step through if they ever genuinely desire to, but crucially, not wide enough for you to step into their world. Individuals typically employ soon for two primary reasons. They are unwilling to genuinely invest in you, yet they are equally unwilling to completely lose you as an option. You effectively become their emotional reserve, their maybe later, their convenient backup plan, should the individuals they are more actively pursuing fail to deliver or engage. And often, individuals, driven more by optimistic hope than by objective reality, allow themselves to believe that this consistent delay holds no significant meaning. They interpret vagueness as commendable patience, and patience, in this context, as a virtue. However, hope that consistently lacks tangible evidence is not a demonstration of loyalty. It can often be a subtle form of self-abandonment. So, how does one effectively break the alluring spell of soon? You decisively withdraw from this fog of ambiguity and demand clarity, not through emotional pleas, but through decisive action. The moment that word is used, you step back, not with dramatic flair, not with anger, but with quiet, unshakable resolve. You do not chase the elusive promise. You do not passively wait for the next meager breadcrumb of attention. You simply and calmly treat soon as a clear signal that they have not made a genuine, concrete choice regarding your presence. And in doing so, you cease to offer them the convenient comfort of being an unclaimed, perpetually available option. A future that is authentically real always possesses tangible markers: a specific date, a definite plan, a designated place, a precise time, something concrete that you can clearly point to and affirm this genuinely exists. If these concrete elements are absent, it is not a genuine future with you. It is merely a placeholder, a strategic device they are employing to manage your expectations without actual commitment. And here lies the shift they almost never anticipate. The moment you unequivocally stop accepting vague, unsubstantiated promises, you simultaneously cease to be the individual they can indefinitely delay and keep on standby. That is the precise moment when true respect begins to enter the dynamic, because you are no longer a passive passenger patiently waiting for their timeline to align. You are an individual with clear boundaries, undeniable personal momentum, and a defined sense of direction. Someone might delay an individual who passively follows their pace, but they very rarely delay an individual who confidently sets their own. Once you firmly refuse to allow your life to perpetually reside in the holding pattern of their soon, they are compelled to either step forward with genuine commitment or decisively step out of your life. They did not use those four words, busy, maybe, friend, soon, to provide an accurate description of their current situation or emotional state. They used them with subtle precision to measure yours. None of these words actually reveal their genuine schedule, their true intent, or their actual availability. What they unequivocally reveal is your reaction. Because every single time one of those words is deployed, they are not merely speaking, they are acutely observing. They are watching your response to uncertainty, to deliberate distance, to calculated ambiguity. That specific reaction communicates everything about your current standing and perceived value within their personal hierarchy of individuals. Here is the insidious loop that most individuals never fully recognize. They deploy the word. You, in turn, interpret it through an emotional lens. You then subtly adjust your behavior and expectations around that interpretation. They meticulously evaluate your adjustment. Your inherent value is then silently, implicitly redefined. This is precisely why the true danger is not the word itself. The real peril lies in how swiftly and completely you surrender your personal position and boundaries when you hear it. Someone does not inherently lower your value. They simply provide you with the opportunity to inadvertently demonstrate how low you are willing to place yourself in pursuit of their attention. Countless times, the pattern has unfolded identically. An individual sits, confused, frustrated, and profoundly convinced they have been subtly manipulated. When the dynamic is carefully deconstructed and walked backward, a painful realization often emerges. The perceived control they felt was wielded over them was, in essence, control that they had inadvertently granted. Busy compelled them to try harder and chase more persistently. Maybe trapped them in a cycle of passive waiting. Friend coerced them into a role of selfless service. Soon kept them perpetually clinging to a phantom hope. Four seemingly tiny words subtly shaped an entire relational dynamic, simply because the individual never paused to question their underlying framing or strategic intent. Yet, that very same individual possesses the profound capacity to fundamentally transform their reality the moment they cease merely reacting and begin, instead, to actively observe. The moment they hear a vague or ambiguous word and resist the urge to personalize it, the moment they stop contorting themselves and their own needs to accommodate another's inconsistency and instead firmly anchor themselves in their own non-negotiable standards. This represents the crucial shift from merely reacting to actively leading the dynamic. It is the transition from perpetually seeking reassurance to becoming the unwavering source of their own reassurance. It is moving from needing external clarity to proactively creating it through decisive, self-directed action. Individuals do not genuinely respect someone who needs certainty explicitly provided to them. They respect the individual who carries a powerful internal certainty within themselves. The person who does not flinch or become perturbed by ambiguity, the person who wisely does not over-invest their precious time and energy in unclear or inconsistent signals, the person who does not allow language, however soft, subtle, or strategically deployed, to bend or diminish their inherent value. Control is not something that is forcibly taken from you. It is actively returned to you the very moment you stop willingly surrendering it. And when you firmly refuse to buckle under the subtle pressure of those four little words, you immediately cease to be the person someone can test, indefinitely stall, or subtly downgrade. You transform into the individual they must either intentionally choose or completely lose. You have now gained insight into a truth that most never fully grasp. The four words themselves were never the core threat. The real danger lay in the profound ease with which those words could pull you off your center, away from your own self-anchoring. Busy subtly controlled your time. Maybe cleverly controlled your hope. Friend implicitly controlled your role. Soon, strategically, controlled your future. Each of these words, in its own way, effectively redirected your focus away from your own intrinsic value and towards the elusive approval of another. This is precisely why so many individuals experience feelings of emotional drainage, persistent confusion, or the profound sting of feeling unchosen. Not because they inherently lacked worth, but because they continually reacted to signals that were never genuinely intended to guide or empower them. When you resolutely cease responding in the expected, reactive manner, the entire dynamic fundamentally shifts. You are no longer the individual passively waiting for clarity to be bestowed upon you. You become the individual who actively creates it through your actions and boundaries. You are no longer the person constantly adjusting yourself to fit into another's inconsistency. You become the individual whose unwavering standards compel others to either rise to meet them or gracefully fall away from your path. And when someone truly realizes that they can no longer manipulate or move you with mere words, that is the pivotal moment they begin to truly respect you. Not because you demanded that respect, but because you powerfully and consistently demonstrated it through your self-possessed behavior. Therefore, if these 4 words have ever held any power over your emotional state or your life choices, let this moment be a significant turning point. Choose unwavering self-control over paralyzing self-doubt. Choose clear direction and purposeful action over endless delay and stagnation. Choose your own intrinsic value and well-being over the fragile fantasy of what someone else might eventually give. Because the precise moment you cease surrendering your emotional authority is the moment you reclaim everything you mistakenly believed was taken from you. When you master your own reactions, you master the trajectory and quality of your relationships. And that, fundamentally, is where genuine control and personal empowerment truly begin.